What is up, guys? It is Jacob from QuadHunting, and this video is inspired again by the fine folks at Pride of Detroit. If you haven't checked them out yet, check them out. Highly encourage it. Pretty much, most of my videos have ideas or parts of their, I get ideas off their articles, and sometimes I'll quote their articles. So check them out. Good place for Lions news. Anyways, they released an article today, which is Friday the 9th. If this doesn't get uploaded tonight, it might get uploaded on the 10th. So whatever. They recently put up an article, so check it out. It's called "The 5 Lions Who Could Make the Pro Bowl for Their First Time in Their Career," or first time. This is how it ended. So that got me thinking. They had their list. I differ a little bit. I have 2 different names who I thought of immediately. But before we get into the 5s that they listed and then I listed, we're going to go through the 7 who've already made a Pro Bowl appearance sometime in their career, and that is not with the Lions. The Lions right now have 7 Pro Bowlers who made the Pro Bowl, whether they were on another team or with the Lions. So right now, 7 former Pro Bowlers on the team. They are Matthew Stafford, Golden Tate, T.J. Lang with the Packers, Ezekiel Ansah, Haloti Ngata with the Ravens, Glover Quinn, and Matt Prater. I don't think Prater's ever made the Pro Bowl with the Lions. I think he made it with the Broncos. But those are the 7 right now, and those are some of the bigger names on our team. Stafford, Tate, they're linchpins on the offense right now. T.J. Lang, a recent signing who we gave good money to shore up the offensive line. Ansah, who hopefully can get back to that level this year. Glover Quinn and Ngata. Ngata's kind of aging. I don't think we'll see him in the Pro Bowl for the Lions. Quinn, I believe there's another chance. He's a great playmaker. Then Matt Prater. He's a kicker, great kicker though, so always a chance for him. Now the 5 they listed, I have 3 of them I agree with. 2 of them, not so much I disagree with, but I just think the 2 other players I listed have a better chance because of positioning and that kind of thing to make the Pro Bowl. They list Sam Martin, Amir Abdullah, Darius Slay, Jared Davis, and Eric Ebron. I'm kind of walking through because a couple of them might match up. I'm going to start with the 2. I don't think it's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot harder for them to make the Pro Bowl than it is for the other 2 I listed. And that is Amir Abdullah. And it's mainly because I don't think the Lions are going to use a running back enough in a running role. I know that they want to, and they want to build that. I don't think right now they have it. Even with all the offensive line upgrades, and I don't know if they just have a running back who's just pretty much strictly a running back who can make the Pro Bowl with the stats, especially in a conference that has David Johnson with the Cardinals and Ezekiel Elliott with Cowboys. I think for Amir to make it, he's going to have to be a world beater, and I see the Lions wanting to use more of a committee, and I don't think they're going to stick with one guy as the bell cow to get those stats that you need to make the Pro Bowl, especially in a conference like I said, David Johnson and Ezekiel Elliott. And Adrian Peterson is still in it. He went down to the Saints. He could have a revival with his career and still make it. So I'm not 100%. I don't think Amir is going to make it just because, like I said, it's for a running back to get it, they got to have huge stats, 1,200 plus yards. I don't think Amir is going to crack 1,000 this year. And he's not going to crack the amount of touchdowns you need for people to actually, when they're scrolling through, to go, oh, yeah, that Amir Abdullah kid with the Detroit Lions, he's running really good. I'll put him on my vote because it's all stat driven, let's be honest. The Pro Bowl is not who's the best, it's who has the flashier stats, who's on the team with the most supporters pretty much. So I don't think Amir Abdullah is going to make it. And I don't think Jared Davis, as much as I would love for a rookie, our first-round draft pick, to make the Pro Bowl this year, I don't see it, mainly because our linebacking core is pretty weak. He could rack up the stats, and he could, blow up and have an amazing stat line, which kind of is needed as you scroll through. But if he's just strictly a tackling guy and doesn't get a lot of interceptions because the defensive line can't create pressure, then you have problems that, it's just going to be, well, he's just a tackler. He's not a playmaker. He doesn't get interceptions or forced fumbles or fumble recoveries. He's just a tackler, and that does not look good in fans' eyes. And again, he plays for the Detroit Lions, so it's going to be harder already for him to make the Pro Bowl than it would be if he played for the Patriots or the Packers or the Steelers or any of the teams that are historically great and have a huge fan base because they're all bandwagoners and they pick the good teams. Not upset about that at all. So I have, like I said, I have 3 names that are the same, and I'm going to go through them. So I have Sam Martin, Darius Slay, Travis Swanson, Eric Ebron, and Theo Riddick. Now I know what I said about Amir Abdullah. Hold on. I know I said a strictly a running back. Just Abdullah is a running back, whereas I see Theo Riddick more as an offensive weapon kind of role. So I'll get to him in a little bit. But Sam Martin last year, I think, is a guy who just barely missed the Pro Bowl. He had a great year. Pro Bowl deserving, again, because he's a punter on the Lions. It's not as easy to make the Pro Bowl if you were unlike any of those teams I listed, because of the fan bases. So Martin, I think, could make it. He's going to be a punter that's going to be there for years at his level. He's a great punter, worth the draft pick. Turns out he is worth the draft pick we used on him. So I think Sam Martin definitely could go to that level of the Pro Bowl level. I think last year he played at that level, and he just didn't get it because another guy played just a little bit better. I have Darius Slay as well matching up. All things considered, I would have had Taylor Decker on this list had he not gotten injured. If I would have made this list last week, Decker would have been on it. Anyways, Darius Slay is probably the second best option to make the Pro Bowl. I've ranked mine. They didn't rank theirs. I ranked mine: Martin, Slay, Swanson, Ebron, Riddick, as 5 guys, I believe. I would put Amir and Jared Davis behind Riddick, of course. So Darius Slay last year had some big plays, big moments, which look good on highlight reels, which might be playing on NFL Network or ESPN and Sports Center. So he's already got one part of it where he can make the big plays. He just needs to get the stats, I think, is what Slay's missing. If he gets one year where he gets 5-6 interceptions with a couple big plays in there, with some of those being huge moments, I think he could definitely make it. I think it would open a lot of fans' eyes. You already get some opposition players who have said that Slay is really good. So, he's working his way up. You're seeing him in Pro Football Focus's top 5 corner lists or top 10 corner lists. I can't remember where he fell in. So he's starting to get up there and starting to get the recognition. Usually it takes one good year for fans to start noticing you, and then that next year is when you'll make the Pro Bowl, especially coming from any team that's not the historical ones. Then I have Travis Swanson. I believe last year he played amazing to start the season. Last preseason, you can go back and look at my videos when I was making roster predictions. Did not think Swanson was going to make the team. I was hoping he wasn't going to make the team. I didn't like him. Good thing I'm not a general manager. Last year he played amazing and was blowing everyone's expectations away. Got hurt at the end of the season. I believe now, with how everyone saw now last year, that how he had a big step-up year, I believe more eyes are going to be on him. If he continues to produce like that, I believe he definitely makes the Pro Bowl. Plus, it's offensive line, so, most people, I don't even fill out offensive linemen because I don't know, and all I'm going to vote for is the Lions. So, hopefully more fans will start to see that, and Travis Swanson will be not a household name, but enough football fans will know who Travis Swanson is and will put him in the Pro Bowl. I have Eric Ebron then next as my 4th best option. Position-wise, I believe it'll be the easiest for Ebron to make it, but he's got a lot of bad press because he drops the passes so much. I mean, when you look back, we didn't really complain about Calvin Johnson's drive-killing drops at all. But if we hear that Ebron drops a ball in practice, everyone's in arms about it. Kind of hypocritical. We're all hypocritical Lions fans. But Ebron's got the biggest hill to climb. It's fan opposition anyways. A lot of Lions fans don't like him. Didn't help that Aaron Donald's drafted right behind him. And a lot of fans, that would really help our defensive line right now. But I believe Eric Ebron could have a huge year this year. Last year he came 5th in receiving yards and 7th in receptions for NFC tight ends. So he's definitely top 10 tight ends in the NFC. When there's only 16 teams, you're like, well, that's not hard to do. But I believe he could take the next step. Right now the Lions are really lacking a slot receiver. I know Kenny Golladay is right now kind of seem like the guy who's going to win that. But Ebron could definitely eat into those snaps. He can play inline tight end. Basically, if he's in the game, it's more for receptions. He's not going to block. So he has the best chance of getting the stats and getting all the stuff the flashy plays that fans look for. But he has the biggest hill to climb as far as fan opposition, in my opinion, out of these lists. So that's why I have him as the fourth best chance of making the Pro Bowl in for the first time in his career. My last one is Theo Riddick. Now, remember what I said about Amir Abdullah. Lions want to use a running back by committee. I don't think any running back this year is going to crack 1,000 yards rushing. But Theo Riddick is not strictly a running back. He's really not that great at being a running back, running the ball anyways. It's just not his forte. His forte is when he can run out and catch passes. And that's huge. If he can get those stats this year, I believe, if he can get, it was a couple years ago, but he had like 800 receiving yards. I believe if he can get that 800 receiving yards again and maybe get like 550, 600 rushing yards and gets a lot of touchdowns between the rushing and the receiving, a lot of fans then will start knowing his name more. I mean, Lions fans already know who Riddick is, and some of the media is now starting to talk about how Riddick is one of the best. I think he's the second or third best pass catching running back in the NFL as far as some lists. So he's getting recognition now, and I believe it'll be easier for him to make it with that and with the catching and the running. If he can do both decently, I believe he can. If he can, like I said, 600 rushing yards, maybe 5 touchdowns with that, and then 800 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns there, I believe more fans will be more willing to put Theo Riddick into the Pro Bowl as a reserve, or maybe he'll get in there as a reserve, maybe not as starter or one of the guys that's picked right off the bat. Maybe he gets in there because the team's in the Super Bowl, something like that. But that's kind of what I think Riddick can make it in with his receiving ability and the rushing. If he gets the rushing, right now he has to get to the rushing mark to be in that tier to get to the Pro Bowl. But none of this is going to matter because no Lions player are going to play in the Super Bowl because they're playing in the Pro Bowl because they're playing in the Super Bowl, is what I just say. Knock on wood. I'm kidding. I think we're still a couple years away. But anything can happen. It's the NFL. So if you like my list, leave comments down below. Leave likes. Tell me who you think could be in line to make their first Pro Bowl of their career with the Lions, or first Lions player to make the Pro Bowl. And the Lions player to make the Pro Bowl for the first time in their career. There. Anyways, as far as who I think can make the Pro Bowl, obviously Stafford, Tate, Lang, Ansah, I think can bounce back. Quinn and Prater, I think all those guys. I don't think out of the ones who have made it, I think those are the ones that can repeat. I don't think Nagata's I don't think he's got much anymore. So sadly. Anyways, leave likes, comments, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and all that fun junk. And I will talk to you guys all next time I get inspiration from Pride of Detroit. Check them out.